watching Blizzard's video breakdown of the editions of Diablo 4 was a mix of mild disgust and disappointment, followed by a strong urge to express a few things that trouble me. Let's watch the video first.
Diablo 4 Ultimate Edition. Pre-purchase to unlock in-game rewards. The accelerated battle pass. Lightbearer.
Is that a digital horse?
Hellborn.
Digital horse armor?
Digital horses and digital horse armor has truly been the turning point for what constitutes a complete modern video gaming experience, and I am forever grateful for it.
And Wings of the Creator emote. Plus, exclusive in-game items for legendary Blizzard titles.
Ah, yes. Who could ever forget the legendary Blizzard title, Diablo?
Pre-purchase to get early access to the open beta. Diablo 4, available June 6th.
Or June 2, so pay up, piggy. Aside from the access to the first beta weekend back in March, buying the pricier versions gets you a 4 days head start over the standard version plebs. Am I the only person who finds that insane? I really thought I read wrong when I first saw that announced. This right here is the worst of the worst. And mind you, I personally don't mind it. You'll understand why. Let's say you're a group of 4 high school friends. 3 are middle-class families, if that still exists in the year of our Lord 2022+1, with a 4th family facing economical problems. Little Timmy cannot afford the
Superfan, Mega Collector, Gamer Chat, Gamer Dad, Codex Personal Painting, Dab on the Poor, Activision Blizzard,
addition, so he has to sit that one out. His parents scoff at his request for $100 for one game, and he knows that if he continues insisting, he's gonna get an earful. Cut forward. June 2. Release day. It's a long and dreary summer weekend for Timmy, since hanging around on Discord with his 3 friends while being unable to play is ruining his mood. His friends are sort of ignoring him, and understandably so, while being in a virtual trance of loot. So he nervously says he has to go and tries to abstain from all the Diablo 4 content he's being bombarded with on his social media. Come Tuesday, he restlessly boots up the game and feels the need to rush through content so he can do endgame stuff with his friends. One of them already stopped playing, filthy casual, and the other 2 join up with him and blitz through areas, but Timmy wanted to take his time and enjoy the story and the campaign. Timmy has 2 choices. Either he is peer pressured into following the pace of his higher level friends at the cost of his enjoyment of the game, or he tells them he'll join them some other time and leaves Discord, again, at the cost of his relationship with them. Resentment builds in both cases, and later that year, a wedge is driven between the group. Am I being dramatic here? Oh, you bet your sweet ass I am, but it gets my point across. It's an online game, practically an MMO at that. And without knowing the specifics of it, the game features PvP. That gives a clear advantage, doesn't it? Now, is that pay to win? I don't know, but it feels wrong. But enough drama for now. The reason for this might be simple. These early access days are nothing more than a stress test for the servers. If you were here for the fiasco that was the Diablo 3 launch, these 2 words might give you PTSD. Error 37. Even if I'm optimistic and wish the game the best of luck, since it might be the last shot at redemption for the company, I cannot help but be reminded that the Blizzard launch is historically synonymous with server and connection problems, somehow convenient DDoS attacks and a general shitstorm for the first few days. And it's not just Blizzard, since the vast majority of online game launches are not good. I don't hope to see it, nor am I bitter towards the people who opted for the more expensive versions. But I will also not be shocked, and I wanted this segment to be a reminder of why such a thing probably exists. So we get no physical copies, yet the prices are that of a physical edition. Yet the game is structured as a live service game? How on Sanctuary does that make any sense? Let's take the recent launch of a huge live service game, Darktide. Box price is €40. Fair. And before people comment on how Darktide ended up being content-starved and that you won't be able to eke out half the gameplay hours you're going to get out of launch Diablo 4, 2 things. There are plenty other examples, and Darktide will forever have that base game price, even in a polished, content-full future state, as we're used to with Fatshark. The most direct comparison genre-wise is even more ludicrous. Wanna guess which game I'm thinking of? Yeah, that game. Full of microtransactions, yet absolutely free. And yeah, I know you have to realistically eventually get stashed up, so don't at me with that. My point still stands on two veiny Ronnie Coleman-sized legs.
Lightweight, baby! Yeah! Oh yeah!
So do they get to have their cake and eat it too? I think with the current pricing model they're trying to eat the cake, a couple of our fingers and probably half the dinner table as well. Moving on. What do these versions get you? $70 for the standard edition, $90 for an early access of the early access, the battle pass, the gonorrhea horse and some horse armor stuff, and $100 for an emote and the 20 battle pass tier skip. We're at the point where we as consumers no longer even get the option of a physical copy. If it was some indie game we were talking about, it would be fine, but we're talking about one of, if not the most iconic game franchises with one of the most devoted fan bases, released by the fifth biggest video game company in the world with a whopping $7.5 billion annual revenue. The video game industry saw a market size value of $220 billion in 2022 and is projected to reach $365 and $583 billion in 2023 and 2030 respectively. We might be at a point of unironically asking if the game is even included with our $70 purchase. So why the hell can we not get a physical copy of the game? Something we can see, touch, smell and decorate for our future self to see, touch and decorate, and that maybe our future self will store for our kids to see, touch and smell.
Look here, son. This is what Daddy ignored his existential grievances with. At the age his daddy had a house and a proper...
Yeah, whatever, boomer.
Years ago we had the choice of a cheaper digital version on top of the normal physical one. It was a fair compromise for whoever did not care about owning a box and a natural byproduct of the internet's growth, both in the average download speed of a household and in how disk usage for installation was rapidly becoming a thing of the past. Fast forward a couple of years and we get no physical version, yet we're asked to pay for it for the digital version of a game. And not only that, but a game that is missing content and comes ripe with a myriad of mechanics and in-game purchases that ask more from its player base along the line. Some games you just want a physical copy adorning your shelf, but it's much more than mere decoration. It's memories. Having the physical case of a game you cherished keeps that moment in time, the mood, the people, and the game itself alive in your heart. Warhammer Online's Collector Edition box, for example, has sparked so many discussions with friends just by lying around, and the fact that it exists within sight in my living room one day single-handedly reignited my interest in the Warhammer Fantasy series. I've got plenty more examples of silly jokes, long-drawn discussions, and trips down memory lane sparked by the existence of old physical copies of favorite games, and Diablo is and should be one of them. Butcher scaring the crap out of little me is something that I will remember forever.
Fresh meat.
With or without a box lying around. Even if digital goods are here to stay, this time it feels wrong with Diablo. So where's the profit for us in that? Because the publishers and the investors are making buck. Where's the love for the hobby? The identity? And if gaming nowadays is something more than senseless consumerism, escapism and a cash cow for greedy suits that probably call you man-children for playing video games in the first place, where is the soul in cutting costs when it comes to something like that? I didn't mention the mounts and especially the cross-game unlocks on purpose. These loyalty packs are there for one reason only, to have a yes, but argument for the ridiculous price of the standard version. It's filler that I would argue the vast majority of the player base doesn't care about. And if I did care about skins and trivial cosmetic unlocks, I would still not particularly care for anything outside the game I'm invested in. The mount is nice. Is it $20 to $30 extra nice? No, at least not for me. Speaking of skins, we have a full-price live service game that will be gating armor designs that our initial purchases paid for, at least when it comes to the artist's work hours. It does not sit well with me. At least give me the illusion that I'm not being swindled and don't flood the shop on day one. No?
You serious?
Okay. Another problem is that eventually the paid gear ends up being of such higher visual quality that a clear disparity between gear designs can be noticed. And this is an action RPG, I mean loot is the game. And with microtransactions being the topic, most microtransactions look so tacky, flashy and extreme that they end up ruining people's immersion. This has nothing to do with corporate greed and immoral practices or any other point made thus far. It just looks silly and makes me want to stop playing certain games. I don't even want the free ones most of the time. Wings in Diablo 3 cover nearly all of your gear and most of them look atrocious and out of place. Path of Exile microtransactions, while sometimes having some decent set concept art, is just antithetical to an action RPG's raison d'etre. Acquire loot, get badass. If everybody looks badass, nobody looks badass. I would even argue that transmogs should not exist on progression-based online RPGs at all, and it's something that I believed for many years but have since warmed up to. It's cool. I just wanna look at gear that is both representative of a character's journey and power level, and the game world's aesthetic identity. Listen, my criticism is not aimed at the developers nor the studio that is making Diablo 4. The game itself is looking good, and what is aside, I'm hyped for one of my childhood-defining games' return to its aesthetic roots. Most spokespersons on their promotional material sounded refreshingly competent and passionate about the project, especially after the Pixar movie that was Diablo 3.
This makes any sense to me. What am I missing, Uncle?
I defy you.
Your rage is overwhelming, girl. You win this round, but if the sword cannot be mine, I'll claim the one it's bound to. In the end, the blade shall be mine.
What I'm most definitely not hyped about is the degradation of gaming via anti-consumer practices, the greasy neglect of quality from greedy industry moguls, forcing crunch on their staff only for games to be released before being anywhere near completion, the ever-shifting goalposts moved by shields and naive consumers alike, and the general direction gaming is headed. I really hope Diablo 4 is the first game in a while that is so good it makes me forget everything about its exploitative monetization while comfortingly patting me on the head as it drip feeds me dopamine a few orange pixels at a time. I am SP. Thanks for watching.